Hi everyone, Dr. Karen here. We are talking about culture and playing. Are you having enough fun as a team in your workplace? Are you actually having enough fun in your personal life? We're going to be talking about why playing and fun is so critical for businesses, for professionals, and also for families. So if we haven't met, my name is Dr. Karen. I work with both organizations and families. I've been doing this for a long time. And this actually came up this past week. So if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I am one of the coaches for Jesse Itzler's Business Mastermind. There's 5 of us. I'm one of them. And just last week, we were actually all in Aspen. And so I kind of did a little reel about it. And it was really interesting. And this probably, I think, will really resonate with you, that for all of us who are in business, let's be honest, there's always something to do, right? The emails, they keep coming in. There's always the tasks. There's always those objectives that we're kind of chasing. And the reality is that if we are not strategic about it, if we are not disciplined in terms of really carving out time to play and to recharge, what happens is it's actually going to have a massive impact on not only our business, but our relationships and also our mental health. And so what I found fascinating this last week was around, you take all these different business entrepreneurs from across the US and Canada, and you put them all climbing a mountain together. And all of a sudden, yes, it's physically challenging, but it's also, lots of fun, but we're also kind of learning together actually at the same time. And so this topic around the importance of fun and how can we make sure as business owners and as professionals that we are really focused on that. So that is with what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about the why is it important, and then how do you actually do it on a really practical way. So if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do that so you get notified. And let's really dive into this. So I'm going to read from a couple. This is my book, The 3 Chairs. If you haven't gotten it, it's a business leadership book. Great simple framework on leaders, great leaders, how to be a great leader, okay, at work and home. I'm reading from page 130. And one of the things that I love to do is I love to take science and research and data. And if you have followed me, you know that this is kind of a little bit of my blueprint. I love to take all the science, the research, and simplify it in a way that's really easy for all of us to actually understand. And so this comes out of the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. Interesting that they basically talk about that when you play, okay, so, it's interesting, right? As kids, like we play so easily. But as adults, a lot of times we really lose our sense of play. And they basically say that laughter improves affect, our emotions, reduces anxiety, and reduces stress. So again, what is so interesting is I love things that are interconnected, right? So when you're doing one thing, it's going to benefit you in like 3 other buckets. That's what play is. So play, when we are self-disciplined in this one bucket, it will have this ripple effect right across in terms of our emotion management, certainly our emotion management, and I will also say our productivity, big time. Okay, so that's kind of one thing I want to highlight. This one comes out of University of North Carolina. This is another one that says that laughter signals, it's a social glue. I've talked about this on some of the other videos before, that laughter and playing, this is when we're actually playing together, acts as a social glue. And this particular, again, study said that shared laughter signals that they see the world in the same way. Perceived similarity ends up being an important part of the story of relationships. I remember years ago when I actually started kind of really transferring my knowledge from family systems into business systems. And one of the key things that I found really interesting, especially when you're talking about interviews and really how do you actually help a person actually be prepared for that interview, what I found really interesting is that if you can actually get a person to laugh in an interview, in a job interview, the chances of you actually getting that job actually go up. And it's kind of to that point. It's the idea that if you can actually really connect and relate to the person that you're talking to and you laugh, it shared laughter signals they see the world in the same way. So this is just talking about the power, the psychology, the science around why laughter and playing is actually really fun. So that's kind of like more on the team perspective. On the personal perspective, as individuals, I want you just to think to yourself, when you really the last time invested in terms of actually injecting some more fun, injecting some more play in your life, what happened to two areas I want you to think about. So when you have been disciplined in prioritizing fun, what happened to your productivity and what happened to your emotion management? Those are the two areas that get massively impacted in a positive way when we prioritize fun. Now, it's a domino effect the other way, though. If we don't prioritize fun, what happens to our productivity? It goes down. What happens to our stress? It tends to go up. Again, last week, I'm just using this as a reference. It is amazing. So we all take 4 days off. 4 days off from the office. That's a long time for entrepreneurs, right? So we take 4 days off. We're injecting fun. And yes, we're doing some learning for sure as part of it, but we're doing a lot of learning during adventure. So we take 4 days off. We are now injecting fun. At the end of the 4 days, one of the coordinators, they basically talked about, like, how is everybody feeling? What was amazing is we all felt totally fired up, emotionally charged, emotionally just energized. Now what's going to happen is we're taking that back into our businesses. We're taking that back into our families. That's now going to impact our relationships. That's going to impact our communication. That's going to impact in terms of our productivity. It's going to reduce our stress. So we run a leadership academy. I love teaching simple concepts, simple tools that it's like a scaling effect on the emotional side. When you do one, you're going to get three you do this one tip, you're going to get 3 benefits. That's what play is like. When you actually inject fun, so yes, it takes time. It's funny that we have to actually even be talking about this, isn't it? It's kind of funny, a little bit, that we have to somehow even be talking and kind of convincing entrepreneurs and professionals about why we need to take more fun. But the reality is, a lot of times, if we don't understand the why, we don't prioritize it. And so when we inject that play and that fun in our life, we inject that time, the ripple effect is it drives productivity, it lowers stress, it improves our relationships, it improves our communication. All you had to do is ask my husband, what was my mood like when I came home? I was physically tired. I hardly got any sleep. My flight back, the event was in Aspen. I live north of Toronto. It took me 20 hours to get from the location all the way back into my home. 20 hours. That part wasn't fun. However, what's interesting is when I walked in, my husband right away knew that I had an incredible time. Obviously, I've been talking to him kind of throughout the time, and then my productivity ripple effect from that. That's what happens. So you would take 4 days away. You think, I'm going to take away 4 days. But because that 4 days is strategic and it's fun and it's curated in terms of like great people, and when you have that, all of a sudden it kind of, it's just like this recipe for success. So now everybody's now taking that back. It's a beautiful thing. I think this is why masterminds are becoming so popular, because people are really realizing the power of that. I'm part of 3. That's the one that I am hired for, is Jesse's business mastermind. And then we lead 2. We have a women's entrepreneur mastermind, and we also have a marriage mastermind. There's something that's magical that happens when you get people that actually kind of think similarly, the shared mindset, but then you inject that fun, and all of a sudden it's just magical. So hopefully you are inspired to say, all right, Karen, I get it. I need to inject some fun. All right. So then the question then becomes, how do you do it? Okay. And so how do you do it? Now, obviously there's going to be different if you're going to talk about team. How do we inject fun at work? And also, how do we inject fun at home, okay, and personally? So let's kind of tackle both of these because they're both really important. From the business side, and again, I've talked about this on page 131 in my book, The 3 Chairs. I give some examples. On the business side, a lot of times people will host annual retreats, or they'll be part of some kind of a mastermind. They actually, join a group to kind of help, so that you don't really even have to be thinking about, what do I do? Don't worry. You join a group and let the coordinators actually do it for you. So that's certainly the one way. But a lot of companies will do annual retreats, biannual retreats. So that's can be like at a company culture level. On a team level, I'm seeing all kinds of things in terms of injecting fun. I'm seeing sporting events and dinners and speakers and lunch and learn series. And even volunteering together. That's actually a really big one. That's kind of like meaningful fun. And so you want to kind of like talk to your team. Like, what do you want to do? What is fun for you? And get everybody to kind of brainstorm, because what is fun for one person is not necessarily fun for the other. And watch what happens when you inject that fun. watch what happens. Watch what happens in terms of the fun and the culture. And then on the personal side, ask yourself, what do you like to do for fun? What did you used to like to do as a child? I talked to this. I was on live with Kelly and Mark in New York last week, and we were talking about what I call the fun print. The fun print in terms of that we all have a fun print. Every one of us have got something that we just love to do that's super fun for us. A lot of times it was kind of almost identified as when we were kids. And then we kind of lose that part of ourselves. So many of us, what do? We lose ourselves as we get older. We don't want to do that. We want to awaken ourselves. We don't want to lose ourselves. We want to awaken ourselves as we get older. And so identifying what is your fun print is a really important thing. And this is all part of not only obviously productivity and productivity and stress is all part of our self-care. We've got a great scorecard. If you haven't received it, type in scorecard below, type in self-care below, type in self-care, and someone from our team will send this to you. And this is kind of part of one of the pieces that we all want to make sure that we are really investing time and energy into self-care. Self-care is kind of like the top umbrella, the high umbrella. And playing is one of the pieces, the strategies that we want to kind of take care of our self-care. So you can see how you're doing. You can see how you're doing in terms of self-care scorecard. So you can type in self-care below, and somebody from our team will actually send that to you. So we've talked about the why, and we've talked a little bit about the how. And my encouragement is, as you're hopefully convinced that you're like, okay, I need to really prioritize this. This is going to be good for myself as a leader at work. This is going to be good for myself as a leader at home. I'm gonna prioritize this. You might be like, okay, Karen, I got this. Where do I get started? Start with something really, really easy. Start with something that is, you can do it this next week. That it doesn't even involve anybody else. It doesn't involve getting extra equipment or coordinating with other people, or maybe even like weather. It's all of these extra variables that sometimes we can have this great plan, like, okay, fun for me is playing tennis, but now you've got to find a court, find a partner, have good weather, and all of a sudden you get one of those variables and it can kind of discourage a person. They kind of get off track. So try to think of something that you could do this week, that it fills your bucket. It just fills you up. And it's something that's really simple. That's even hopefully maybe free. It's a cooking class. It's doing painting. It's going for a jog. It's doing paddle boarding. It is, it's gardening. What do you do for fun that just lifts you, that is playful for you? Because once you start tapping into this, and it is like a superpower. Once you start tapping into the power of play, all you have to do is watch your emotional state. All you have to do is watch what happens emotionally, how energized you feel, how that then is going to actually have that ripple effect to your productivity, your relationships, and your mental health and your well-being. That's what we do. That's what we do. As a company, we teach leadership principles that are going to benefit you in business, relationships, and your well-being. So this is a great topic. And I hope you are feeling inspired to take action, everybody. So again, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that. If you have a topic you would like me to tackle, please share this. This is why I do these videos, is to really help thousands of people. That's why I do these videos. So let us know with what topic you would like me to cover. And I look forward to seeing you on one of our other YouTube videos.